I have 6 of my resistors in right now. I have 2 remaining resistors that need to go in then over here. They're not going to be able to lay flat like these, so what we're going to do is we're going to bend the leg over like that. Okay, so we'll then insert the resistor so that it will stand upright like that. And same thing, just bend the legs over a little bit on the back side so that it doesn't fall out when we're soldering it. And when you're completely done putting all of these in, this is how it'll pretty much appear. Now the soldering comes. So position your board so that it's comfortable for you to work on, whether you're taping it down like I am or using some type of a holder. Make sure your tip is clean when you're doing your soldering. And I want to show you where we have resistors coming through that are right next to pins on the Arduino. So here would be an example where I have a resistor leg coming up and then I have the pin of the Arduino there. They're on the same copper island. So all that's going to matter is that the copper or that the solder stays on that island. So to do that, just keep a high angle. Again, don't hold your iron like that. Hold it more upright. Make sure that when you do put your tip in there that it's touching the leg of the part and the copper at the same time. That'll help heat it up. Also to help heat up and transfer that heat, you're going to put a dab on the tip, then hold it in there, push the solder in, remove the solder, and then remove the iron. Now I didn't want to keep adding and adding and adding, using too much solder. Now if you did and the solder started to flow over more this way, that's fine. But you didn't need to. The copper is going to make that connection over to here. And I do want to add solder to this point as well. So same thing, wedge my tip in there and feed in a little solder. Okay, I can still see that hole there, and that's fine because the copper underneath is already then conducting or will be able to conduct the electricity right through that copper pad over to that leg right there. Now, should that get covered up, and I just did it like that just to show you, it won't make any difference whatsoever. Okay. We're going to continue to do that for all of our resistors and for the pins that are next to those resistors. And those will actually be the only ones that we need to do at this time. Take your time every now and then. You're going to probably need to wipe off your tip so that it doesn't get too dirty. We want it to be nice and shiny when we're doing our soldering at all times. So you can get away with doing several of them, but eventually you're going to want to wipe it off maybe after, I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe. No real rule. Just periodically wipe it off. Let's see, so I got those 2. Got a couple right here yet. So basically, wherever the resistor is coming through, we're going to solder. Now, oops, now I made a mistake. So right here, you can see that where they're crossing over to the other island. That will have to be fixed, and I'm going to show you how you can do that right now. If this happens to you, you can try it for yourself, or you could have some help. Before I do that, I'm going to snip off the tips of these ones that are already soldered. You can actually save a couple of these clippings because we're going to need them. Okay. And a couple on this side. Let's get this. And 2 I missed, so I'm going to just hit those real quick. This one, this one. And then we'll go ahead and we'll fix that. Okay, so where I made the mistake, that was right there. And one way of fixing that is using something called a solder braid or wick. And that's this stuff right here. And what we can do is simply get a piece of it, a fresh piece that doesn't have any solder on it, you can wipe your soldering iron tip off. I may or may not want to use some flux. I'll put a little on. Just do that. Then you get right down and put the iron right on what you want to remove, and hopefully it absorbs it into the wick. And you want to just make sure that you did break that connection between the two islands. I'm just going to rub it over there one more time. Okay. And I believe that's good. So now I'll go ahead and try my soldering again, make sure that I do it better this time. Okay, so I got there to there, and then solder the leg. All right. So that's good. So you can see I accidentally got it on here. There's actually nothing that I need to worry about here, but I don't want that connection. So if you see spotters spill over from one island to another, which if you accidentally heat your other island by having your iron too low, that can happen. That's probably what happened to me, or if you add a little bit too much solder. All right, so that's all that I have right now soldered in. Is, again, everything, wherever you have the resistors legs coming through, you're going to solder those legs, and you're going to solder the leg of the Arduino part that is also next to them. So here's one that I still need to do. And got that one. All right, so that's it. You can see that I then have that taken care of, where all the resistors are soldered, the pins that are next to those resistors are soldered here, and the two over here. We're ready then for the next step.